Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, and welcome to the Big 12 Insiders. Man, some separation this weekend within the Big 12 Conference. Some of the teams that are at the top of the conference kind of separated themselves. We had a de facto elimination game out in Boulder that we talked about that, in my opinion, I think it was an elimination game as far as who can get to the Big 12 title. Still a ton of football left, but I think we're starting to see who is at the top of this conference. And unfortunately, we're also seeing who is at the bottom of this conference. So we're going to get into everything that happened this weekend and break all of it down for you. But before we do, as always, remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to leave those comments and hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. First things first. Okay, BYU. Enough of the BYU slander, enough of the BYU disrespect. I'm tired of it. Heck, even yours truly picked BYU to get tripped up at UCF. I have no idea what I was thinking. You guys know me. When I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong, and I was dead wrong. BYU dominated this football game. They were the more physical football team, something that BYU players and coaches coming into this season, they both said we weren't a physical football team last year. We've got to be a physical football team this year. They are a physical football team this year. They've had some running backs that got hurt. They're back. They figured out how to run the football. They're stopping the run. They shut down UCF. Look, UCF is a mess at the quarterback position. Let's not kid ourselves. They have no idea what they're doing there, and the play has been bad. But that doesn't mean anything. BYU dominated this football game, and that's what they were supposed to do. When you're the more dominant team and your job is to go out and dominate that team, BYU did it. I really don't think this game was close. I really don't. The final score, what was it, 37-24. UCF scored some window dressing touchdowns. It didn't mean anything. This game was long over before that. Give BYU credit. They're finally in the top 10, and they should probably be a little bit higher based on some things, but they're in the top 10. Give them credit. This was a dominant performance on the road by them. And by anybody that watched the game, there were a lot of BYU fans at that football game. A lot. It bodes well for them when it comes down to college football playoff. Eyeballs. We're lying to ourselves if we don't think eyeballs matter. BYU's got a lot of them. They got a lot of them. Good for them. Good win on the road. Baylor beats Oklahoma State 38-28. It was a close game. Baylor, again, did wind sprints up and down that pathetic Oklahoma State run defense. I have no idea what Oklahoma State is doing on defense. I have no clue. Absolutely no clue. Here's the thing, and I'm going to read this. Dawson Pendergrass had 6 carries for 102 yards for Baylor. And yes, you heard me right. He had 6 carries for 142 yards. His longest run was 55. So he didn't have like this 75 or 85-yard run where he gets out the gate and outraces everybody to the end zone, something like that. No. 55 yards was his longest run, 6 carries. So even if you take away the 55-yarder, he still would have been averaging 17 yards a carry. That is absolutely unreal. Give all the credit to Baylor. There's not a lot of people that would have thought that Baylor, if you talked to them a month ago, that Baylor would be sitting with 4 games left at 4-4, needing to win 2. Their schedule is manageable. So winning 2 more games to get to a bowl game, I'm not putting it out of question that Baylor can get to 7 wins this year. I'm not saying that that's not possible. You go look at their schedule. Yeah, it's possible. So who knows? I know Baylor's playing really well right now. They got some confidence. And again, if you would have asked anybody a month ago, you thought Dave Aranda was going to get fired before the season was out, and it was just a mess. Well, here they are sitting at 4-4 with an opportunity to go bowling if they can win 2 out of their next 4. Good for them. Where does Oklahoma State go? I have no idea. I mean, look, they scored some points. They moved the ball, but that has not been the problem for them this year. They just can't stop the run. They can't stop anybody. I mean, they 565 total yards for Baylor. Come on, man. You're not winning football games like that. You can't just win shootouts, and you didn't. So where they go from here, I don't know. And you look at their schedule, they got to win 3 of 4 to go bowling. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to give up this kind of yardage, Oklahoma State's not going to a bowl game, man. It's just not a good way right now in Stillwater. West Virginia beats Arizona. Look, it was a good bounce-back win for them. And I'll say this. I love the grit that Garrett Green provides. I love his toughness. But as a thrower of the football, he's not great. He's just not great. You know, Nicole Markle, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Nico Markle. If I'm not, I apologize. He came in and did a pretty good job. 18 for 22, 198, 2 touchdowns. But you know what he did not do? He didn't throw an interception. And I get it. He's not going to give you what Garrett Green gives you as far as running the football from the quarterback position, but he's not putting the ball in harm's way. And I think for West Virginia moving forward, I think that's more important. Look, you're not going to the Big 12 title game anyway. So why not get this kid all the reps that he can get so you can come out fresh next year? Not to mention, it's not like he's a bad quarterback. You know, you're not giving up on the season by doing that. You're not. I think it's the best avenue for West Virginia to go. They got a good road win. Arizona, I have no clue what's going on there other than to say, yes, all these teams, and we'll get to another one from the Pac-12, that thought you were just going to walk into the Big 12 and just run over these football teams. You didn't. You haven't. And I don't know if Arizona looks like, because they can't run the ball anymore. They're not physical. They're one-dimensional. It doesn't look good in Arizona right now. We talked about the coach last week's an hour before kickoff hanging out with boosters. I have no idea what the hell that's about. It's not good in Arizona right now. And again, it's tough in the Big 12, man. It's tough. You got to play tough. You got to play physical, and you haven't done that in a while. So you got to get back on track there. Maybe the game of the day. Maybe TCU comes from behind in a back-and-forth contest against Texas Tech. This football game had a lot. First, TCU gets out hot, up 14-3. And then basically, I think the game might be over. I'm just like, oh, man, I think this game might be over. And then Tech says, oh, hold on, Big B, hold my beer. And they come out and they score the next 28 points. I tweet out, oh, Tech's got this one. It's over. Looks like TCU may be hanging it up. TCU says, no, take this beer back. They come out and score 21 points on the next 3 possessions that they have, and they take the lead 35-34, going back and forth. Tech ends up getting the football with an opportunity to win. Now, look, I understand that the quarterback came in. Barrett Morris got hurt. Backup comes in. True freshman, playing okay. But here, whether you think that Taj Brooks is the best running back in the Big 12, that's kind of up for debate. But I know he's one of the best in the country, not just the Big 12. You have an opportunity to give him the ball if you're trying to center the football. Give it to him. Don't leave it to your freshman. And don't get me wrong. You have the football. You're not supposed to fumble it. I don't care. I don't care. Don't fumble the football, period. But you have this man on your football team. Just let him center the football. Just hand it to him and let him center the football and go from there. You don't. You let your freshman do it. He fumbles, and it was a fumble. Don't start. It was a fumble, and you lose. It's just that simple. You can't. That just can't happen. Just can't happen. But the thing about this one, Tech, you had the football game. Well, you're up 31-14, cruising, and your defense let you down again. Let's make no mistake about it. Your defense let you down again. Good job by TCU for not quitting. They were getting smoked at home. They did not give up on this football game. And technically, TCU is really not out of it. I know you look at their schedule and you're thinking, okay, some of these losses, it might be tough, but they're in it. They've only got 2 conference losses. It's a good win for them. Tech, on the other hand, I hope they can bounce back and this just doesn't derail their season, man. Because I think it could be, I don't know if it's going to be a special season, but could definitely be better. They got to bounce back. They let this one get away. There's no question about it. They let this one get away. Houston gets a win as time expires. Last second field goal to beat Utah. Houston, not at the bottom of this conference. We thought Houston was going to be just a train wreck this year. I'm not picking them, or I didn't pick them to be anything other than last, I believe. And maybe I picked them next to last. I don't know. But I was being biased because I like Willie Fitz. Or Fritz, excuse me. I like him. But they win this game. They're fighting. And that's all you can ask is for them to keep fighting. This was a game of just pathetic quarterback play. Let's just call it what it is. Pathetic quarterback play on both sides. On both sides. Look, I understand that Cam Rising meant a lot to the Utah program. But for you, as a good program as Utah is, and it's a very good program, to not have competent quarterback play behind him when you know his injury history, it's kind of inexcusable, isn't it? And that's what you have. Incompetent quarterback play behind him. He goes down, and you can't move the football. You can't do anything on offense anymore. Defense played fine. I mean, what are you going to say? The defense was okay, but they can't do it all. They can't do it all. Utah's kind of hit rock bottom, though. That you can't lose to Houston. I don't care that it's on the road. That's not a game that Utah should be losing. All credit goes to Houston for winning this football game. But yeah, I would say Utah has hit rock bottom. I mean, you're having quarterback during your bye week. You're having quarterback competition again. It's bad. And here's what I would say. I mentioned this earlier about Arizona, and I'm talking to you, Utah fans, and you can be mad at me if you want, and I understand, but you know I'm telling you the truth. You thought you were just going to walk into the Big 12 and just walk right through the Big 12. I don't care that you had a quarterback injury. Other teams have to deal with injuries too. And if the difference between you just walking through the Big 12 and is your quarterback getting hurt and you walking through it and you being at the bottom of the conference, that's the difference, then you weren't that good to begin with. And I think you know that. It's not that easy, man. Look, we all have to eat humble pie sometimes. I had to do it at the beginning of this podcast, talking about BYU. You know, I usually have to do it on a weekly basis. It's okay to eat some humble pie. You didn't just walk into the Big 12 and just dominate it. It's a tougher conference than what you thought. We all knew that. It's good football. You're a part of it, man. Embrace it. It's good football. You'll get it figured out. Again, everybody takes a lump when their quarterback goes down. Don't get me wrong, but don't tell me that the difference between you walking through the conference and being at the bottom of it is your quarterback not being there. You should have something behind that. Utah will get it figured out. Too good of a program. Too good of a program. May not happen this year, but I figure next year they're going to get this thing figured out. Again, another candidate, for game of the day. Kansas State outlasts KU 29-27. It was a game, if you watch this, KU, they controlled the line of scrimmage. They controlled a lot of this game. It kind of went back and forth. KU got the lead again in the fourth quarter, and KU did exactly what KU has done all season long. They figured out how to lose. You got the ball. K-State went for it on fourth down, couldn't get it. You have the ball, a chance to ice the game away, and you fumble. And then you give K-State an opportunity to kick a 51-yarder. It wasn't some gimme field goal, a 51-yarder to win it. K-State wins. Look, K-State, they got away with one. I have no qualms with saying that. They didn't put forth their best effort. Now, some of that, or even a lot of that, is because KU's still really talented, and they still have a really good coaching staff. And so some of the trouble that K-State had in this football game is because KU's got a good team. They just don't know how to win games. Cannot finish football games pretty much to save their life at this point when they're facing decent competition. They're 2-6, and yet they've outscored their opponents by 46 points this season. Think about that. KU is 2-6, but have outscored their opponents by 46 points. That is absolutely one of the most insane stats that I think you will ever hear of in college football. Just crazy. But give credit to K-State, man. They didn't panic, and they found a way to win at the end. And that's the sign of a good team. When you don't play well, you're still able to win. And they were still able to win. And they extend their winning streak over their rival to 16 games. That's nuts. 16 in a row? I mean, look, you're going to find this petty, but I'm sometimes you need some petty. K-State, when things weren't invented yet, they weren't even out yet the last time KU beat K-State. The iPhone 4, the iPad, 4G networks, they weren't around. Uber, Instagram, Snapchat, none of those things around. Oh, and by the way, if you've got a freshman in high school, yeah, they weren't born yet either. All things that weren't around or invented the last time that KU beat K-State in a football game. Call me petty if you want, but, I'm telling you the truth. Last but not least, Colorado. Look, Colorado has to be taken as a serious football team. I think now. This was what I said was a de facto elimination game. They beat Cincinnati 34-23. Shedeur Sanders kind of put his mark. And you're right. I mean, Deion is right. Nobody talks about him being in the Heisman. Nobody talks about him. I mean, he came out, went 25 for 30, completed his first 15 passes in a row, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good numbers, 323 yards. I mean, he's a pretty good quarterback, but nobody talks about him, but that's okay. I mean, they should talk about Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, 9 catches, 153, 2 touchdowns, 4 passes defended, 4 passes defended. Well, Cincinnati wasn't going away from him. So since he tried to make a game of it late, but Colorado kind of put their foot down on this game and put their stamp down on being a real contender in the Big 12 Conference. They only have 1 loss. The problem for Colorado, even if they keep winning, they do not control their own destiny. They lost that game to Kansas State. They do not play BYU. They do not play Iowa State. So they still need a ton of help to be able to get into the Big 12 Conference title. But they just need to keep winning. If Colorado continues to win, first of all, they got ranked. They're going to move up in the rankings. We'll see how far that can take them if they keep winning football games. You never know. You never know, because you can't tell me, we talked about eyeballs and what BYU brings to the table. You can't tell me that if Colorado gets into the top 15, that the College Football Playoff Committee would leave them out. And then you can say they don't deserve it. They're not any good. You can say whatever it is that you want. And I'm not even telling you that you're wrong. But what I would tell you is college football has always been about money. This college football playoff is about money. And people want to watch Colorado. Whether you want to see them win or you want to see them lose, people watch. And to be able to put Colorado in that, yeah, they would do it. If they qualify. If they qualify, they would absolutely put them in there. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind down the road when we're talking about these college football playoffs and when those rankings come out. It'll be interesting. It'll be very, very interesting. So, man, again, wild week in the Big 12 as usual. Again, like I mentioned at the top, I think we got some separation. We got some separation at the top. Still a month of football left. Everybody's got 4 games that are still left to be played. So nothing has been decided. Anything and everything can still change. So if you think that your team has a shot, just wait till next week. Just wait till next week. And maybe they're in it. Maybe they're not. We'll see what happens. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Thank you guys again, as always. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, leave all of those comments. We absolutely appreciate you. Until then, we will talk to you guys soon. Tomorrow, we'll have the Big 12 Power Rankings coming out. You know what that means. Come check them out. And then the rest of the week, we've got as scheduled as follows. So we'll be back. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.